What's happening, Reject Nation? We're gonna watch from our friends today. New Rockstars, Marvel X-Men, the MCU X-Men debuting in Shang-Chi. Full bracket revealed. Excited to check this out. Eric Voss always has the best of theories and breakdowns, and I'm just now realizing I'm still wearing a DC shirt.
What the fuck?
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and Marvel Studios' Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is one of the more closer arriving MCU films that is also a huge mystery. We did explore the fighting tournament plot from the set visuals in Australia, but now production has surprisingly moved to San Francisco, giving us some limited but telling footage that might actually reveal a lot about this plot and how it ties into the broader MCU. Many of us noticed how weird...
Great time to block off roads during lockdown.
Pretty significant shift of bumping up Shang-Chi from the number 3 film spot to the number 2 film of Phase 4, leapfrogging Eternals to come out on July 9th of next year. A move that confirms one thing at least, that Marvel is committed to Shang-Chi being a summer release.
That's soon for a film that's not done finished.
And all
Nice.
this is really coming together to give us a much
graphic.
clearer picture of this Bruce Lee-inspired fight tournament film, especially with rumors that many Marvel familiars are going to be joining this tournament. Let's fill in the bracket and break it all down. Spoiler warning in case you don't want to know, but you do. Okay, quick refresher. Shang-Chi is Marvel's martial arts badass, based directly on the popularity of Bruce Lee in the early 70s. Simu Liu is playing Shang-Chi, with Tony Leung playing the true Mandarin, the head of the terrorist network that Tony Stark crossed paths with in the Iron Man movies. It's really no secret at this point that Shang-Chi is going to be following that fight tournament plot of Bruce Lee movies like Enter the Dragon, which was Lee's final film role, but one of his most iconic. The latest news comes from the streets of San Francisco. Many locals have been sharing footage and images from the film set, which shows an apparent high-speed chase through the city's streets involving an articulated city bus. That bendy bus must get severed at some point because other footage shows it careening down the street with its back car torn off. There's also a photo of a part of the street that was sectioned off with the pavement just cracked into rubble.
Was it Ant-Man in San Francisco? Ant-Man 2? Yeah.
Good call.
Based on some other footage of construction workers fleeing the scene in fear, perhaps a monster from below. Oh, and patriotic, by the way, if you are interested in fixing this country's crumbling infrastructure, a great way to let our leaders know is by voting in person on November 3rd or early by mail.
Already voted.
Is for you. Just do it
in person.
The election. Headquartered here in Hotel Fairmont that geographically places all of this in or around SF's historic Chinatown district.
Okay.
So beyond Enter the Dragon, a secondary cinematic influence that I think we are seeing here is a certain cult classic starring a certain MCU celestial, Kurt Russell, in Big Trouble in Little China. So while Enter the Dragon stars Bruce Lee as a fighter in an international tournament with various quirky participants hosted by a wealthy criminal, Big Trouble in Little China is a bonkers 80s action comedy about a trucker getting sucked into an insane plot involving ancient wizards and supernatural warriors all in San Francisco's Chinatown. It's so good. In Shang-Chi's case, this chaos we're seeing in Chinatown, I believe, is either a setup to or a consequence of the fighting tournament plot. Maybe the second act of that film.
Yeah,
and that
that'd be the only thing that makes sense.
Might include some familiar Marvel faces and others who will be important to Marvel's future, which seems to be tying in every Phase 4 property. Black Widow, Doctor Strange 2, Thor 4, Falcon Winter Soldier, Blade, maybe even an MCU Deadpool. So we have speculated how Shang-Chi will send around this international fighting tournament hosted, in this case, by the Mandarin, with the prize of this ancient tournament being the 10 Rings of Power. And this latest rumor suggests the Mandarin might have stacked the deck in the tournament to guarantee the winner of those rings will be his champion. So imagine a bracket here with 16 open spaces. A Sweet 16 that winnows down to an Elite 8, then to a Final 4, and then to the top 2 in the final match. But before we fill all these slots in, look, I know there's a lot of clues we gotta sift through, because the best visual clues are hiding in plain sight, just like someone's front pocket wallet, like the Ridge!
Ridge! I
got my backpack.
got my wallet.
I got my backpack.
I got my Ridge.
I also have my wallet. Have my wallet.
The reaction's blocking the Ridge. Promote Ridge! Promote Ridge! Help them promote Ridge!
Great company, great products.
Oh my god.
Voorhees is trying to kill you, you won't be able to to kill your credit cards. This is their aluminum silver wallet.
Aluminum.
Including some very flashy tiki designs. This thing is light, it's strong, just like beauty. They make it easy to buy with free shipping and free returns and a lifetime guarantee.
I
got 30,000 5-star
endorse
reviews,
this
so you
endorsement.
Know you're doing something right. They also have great backpacks and travel
I
bags.
approve this
RFID
endorsement.
Did you?
pockets and the optional
I can detest.
Get 10% off today with
This is a
free
great
worldwide
backpack.
shipping in return
Love
by
this
going to
backpack.
bridge.com/newrockstars.
Use their promo code.
Bridge.com/newrockstars and use the code New Rockstars. Find the
Reject
link in the
name.
video's description. Okay, back to the
Hair
back.
change.
Shang-Chi is our hero, obviously taking one of these slots. Another would probably be Fa Lo Sui, Shang-Chi's sister, maybe Awkwafina's character, though that's not confirmed. Both of them in the comics are children to Fu Manchu, the older comics villain who didn't really age well, and many believe Marvel is retconning
Don't
his
agree with that.
Mandarin identity. According to these rumors, a third spot would be taken by Mordo from the Doctor Strange movie, his mission being to gain the 10 rings to help him rid the world of sorcerers.
Too many sorcerers.
But according to this rumor,
So I need
Mordo
more
was
sorcery
out
gear.
early after Wong makes him sit out. And that Mordo spot would be taken by Clive Reston, an MI6 agent Shang-Chi works with in the comics, and then Wong from there forward would stick around to counsel Shang-Chi. Another slot, rumor has it, is going to be taken by a Black Widow agent named Felicia.
Oh, cool.
Maybe one of those many Black Widow agents that we meet in Black Widow, and probably someone we very quickly say bye to. Now, another rumor participant is going to be Batroc the Leaper, Georges St. Pierre's villain to Cap and Winter Soldier, who apparently is returning the Falcon Winter Soldier in a
Wow,
possible
that-
Thunderbolts plot.
that guy's coming back.
Female Asgardian
No
sent by
characters
Valkyrie
too
to
small.
investigate and compete in this tournament, maybe a member of
Asgardian,
her
huh?
Valkyrie. But the big one in this rumor is Omega Red. Arkady Rostovich, sometimes considered the Russian Wolverine, this guy's got long, retractable medical tentacles made of carbonadium, which was the product of Soviet attempts to make adamantium. You might see some parallels here with Red Guardian Alexei Shostakov, David Harbour's Russian Cap, coming in Black Widow, and I think that's by design, because don't be surprised if that prison facility Alexei busts out of in Black Widow also unleashes characters like Omega Red, could also tie in Batroc the Leaper, as well as Felicia. I have speculated in the past that that facility could also contain other Russian mutants like Peter and Ilyana Rasputin, Colossus, and his sister
That'd be
Magda.
crazy.
But rumor taking another tournament slot would be another mutant, the six-armed Spiral, Rita Hayward, often associated with Longshot, the X-Men, Psylocke. We're also hearing maybe WizKid, described as a techno-mutant, and then T-Ray, a zombie kind of villain associated with Deadpool in the comics.
Damn, this is like a Mortal Kombat anime movie.
You even got someone with 6 arms.
To a character from the 50s Marvel Kid Cult Outlaw comics, and then a vampire named Avok, which could tie in Mahershala
Blade,
Ali's
yeah.
Blade film. Now, this rumored report leaves the rest of the slots open to other warriors, maybe other mutants that Marvel wants to tie.
Well, no,
into
just
this
those
universe.
two
Because
on
really, the
each
exciting
outside.
element about these tournament participants isn't the character names themselves; it's the section of the Marvel world that they come from, and what that tells us about where the MCU will expand next. Like, for example, the mutants Omega Red and WizKid tell us that Marvel might be implying mutants already exist in this universe, and we're about to meet a lot more of them. And a lot of those mutants are real fun to watch in the ring. Sabretooth, Nightcrawler, yeah, Wolverine. But separately, we have been hearing from different rumors that the dragon Fin Fang Foom will appear, awoken by this tournament. Now, Fin Fang Foom is the ancient dragon from Shang-Chi and Iron Man comics, partner to the Mandarin, coming actually from the same alien star system that the 10 McLuhan rings hail from. We've been waiting to see this thing come up in the MCU, and I believe it is totally possible we will see this thing wreak havoc, but not in China, in America, which brings us back to our SF set videos. What if the rubble those construction workers are fleeing from is the emergence of the sleeping dragon Fin Fang Foom under the streets of Chinatown? That bendy bus.
What if that's just real construction?
What if they just couldn't shoot right there?
That would be the Big Trouble in Little China finale. I'm deep down praying
For that
that we
drone
get
shot.
to see in Shang-Chi
Yeah.
a mix of the hilly streets of Chinatown along with some horrifying cosmic mythology. Really, between that and Giant Scott Lang, you can never throw enough at this city. Who else do you want to see in that 10 Rings tournament bracket, and how would you play out the matchups?
Howard the
Chat
Duck.
with me on New Rockstar's official Discord server by becoming a patron at
Cyclops, Storm, Professor X, Magneto, Mystique.
You're watching Bing Bang Boom.
Eric Voss.
I mean, we've talked about Shang-Chi in the past, obviously, you know, just as a little refresher on what's currently excited us, as brought up in this video, is like Enter the Dragon is one of the martial arts movies I grew up on. Other video games like Mortal Kombat and Tekken, video games can borrow that similar type of like tournament format, people coming together, having the wide range of abilities. In terms of like some anime I've recently watched, I got through the Chunin exam on Naruto, which really allowed for a tournament-like style fighting bracket where you got a wide display of fighters with unique types of superpowers, essentially. So everything this movie is shaping up to be, at least from the announcements, is getting me really excited for its martial arts sequences. It won't just be, you know, kung fu fighting. It won't just be martial art. It'll also be implementing the superpowers there. So you have to do a lot of unique choreography with that. I feel like a lot of people might be going like, oh, it sounds like Mortal Kombat. Yeah, it does. It sounds like Mortal Kombat, more like anime, but the plot line is something like an Enter the Dragon so far. But what I find especially clever about all this, a lot of these guys haven't been confirmed. I mean, a lot of them are theorized, but some of them have been confirmed based off of the Wikipedia. They're tying it into other movies, but I think it's cooler that they're using like more minor characters, characters who, like the guy from, I'm already forgetting his name, the guy from like Winter Soldier. Oh yeah, forgot about that dude.
Oh yeah, the other Russian guy.
Yeah.
All these Russian villains.
But using them as ways to tie in all the other movies that serve as tie-in to the bigger MCU properties, but also as like fun Easter eggs. It works on a variety of levels and allows them to showcase more of the minor characters as well. People who probably wouldn't get their own standalone movies or be main supporting characters, but have an opportunity to still shine and show off a little bit. I that's what really excites me about implementing them, and like, yeah, including a couple of mutants here or there, people from the X-Men world, maybe not as an outright way of saying X-Men are here now, but as a way to, you know, allude or set up or hint more towards, yeah, the X-Men are coming.
Got more powered people out there, one way or another, whether we dissect why or not in this movie. I really like just the idea of what they're going for here, and again, Marvel being, you know, at the forefront of taking various genres and crashing them into their superhero stuff. The fighting martial arts movie, the tournament movie, isn't a genre that has been served in a long time, I feel like, and so as nostalgia grows, I think it's also important to look back to the places that aren't as obvious, and for a movie like this to have the idea that we might go back, at least maybe, to that type of structure is actually really exciting, because it seems like we would get a Marvel movie that looks and feels very specifically different. As much as I have been in throughout these you know, news rumors and stuff, not wanting the X-Men to come in too fast, I do think that having something like this where, yeah, you might have Mordo over here, you might have some of the other familiar auxiliary characters and stuff, and you have some X-Men, that seems like a really natural way to do it, and a way where, you know, we have a couple familiar characters that help us to be acclimated, because this is going to be one of the new movies. We'll have a couple things to get people excited for the future, and then, you know, Shang-Chi hopefully can shine amid all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So this is pretty exciting to me.
I think what Black Panther did in terms of representation of like African culture, Blade was the first, he's actually like the big catapult of superheroes, generally speaking. What Black Panther did for MCU. I'm hoping Shang-Chi can do that for an Asian culture as well. And maybe taking the piss out of it a little bit if they are, you know, riffing on like Big Trouble in Little China, you know, taking place in San Francisco, Chinatown, if they are able to like poke fun at that, especially how like that Big Trouble in Little China embraced some of those like Asian stereotypes that were often on display in movies, and like some people might be like, oh, that's offensive, but I if you watch that movie, I kind of feel like it's intentional. It's supposed to be something that's making fun of that as well.
It seems like it has a knowing quality to its pulpy camp.
Yeah. And then with the inclusion of like a Fu Manchu-like character, which hasn't aged well. Hell, even
which has been renamed.
Even the you know, first vision, and for many years the vision of Mandarin, you know, of how that was not really well represented, and like they're gonna be reworking these characters. I think making fun at that type of period in Hollywood history. Maybe not like a big focal point, but something that riffs on it a little bit, you know?
Yeah, especially, you know, because you have a production that is being shepherded by so many people in the Asian community as creatives and stuff like that. I would almost hope that there could be at least a little bit of that cathartic self-awareness, because, you know, this shouldn't be as monumental of a moment as it is.
Yeah. And then also getting the dragon included in San Francisco. It's funny, man. I used to complain a lot about how I don't feel like we have that many LA superheroes. It's all in New York. And, you know, and then I know Iron Man 3 was at Hollywood Boulevard, Man's Chinese Theater. Then Ant-Man had a lot in San Francisco, and then now putting this in San Francisco. I mean, it sounds cool. I like the architecture a lot in San Francisco. I'm actually surprised they're filming in San Francisco right now with the crazy fires they've been having and everything. And the fact that we're still in major lockdown out in California, like we still have lockdown. I know other parts of the U.S. it's not as strict as it has been like out here and in New York. So, you know, while it's like loosened up a little bit here and there, I'm still like, well, I mean, especially in San Francisco, I'm kind of surprised they're filming, but it actually also works to their benefit because people have to stay indoors. More people have to stay home, so less traffic on the roads out there. So maybe shutting down the streets and taking advantage of the time to shoot out there now really works to their benefit of like less people have to be on the road right now. Let's do this. San Francisco, those are busy roads, so you close off one of those streets, man, you're looking at chaos.
You're looking at angry townspeople.
So watching them like swinging this bus around and stuff, like damn. If this was not lockdown time, I can imagine how people would be pissed at Marvel right now out in San Francisco for shutting down their streets.
Maybe shooting somewhere else entirely.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Are you excited about this information? Are you excited at the thought of possibly them starting to include mutants? Kicking it off here with Shang-Chi. Leave your thoughts down below. Subscribe to New Rockstars if you haven't done so already. Hey, why don't you hit our subscribe button, click our notification bell, hit that like button as well. Last but not least, Patron of the Day shout out. Niraj Krishnan. Now, Niraj, we keep wanting more representation in these comic book movies, buddy. More women, more people of color. We got the world of like Black Panther in there. We're getting Shang-Chi with some Asian people. Now, I know you must be clamoring to get some more Indian representation in there. So, Niraj, I think it's time you start bulking up. You start hitting the gym where you can in the East Coast. You start getting shredded right now. Hey, that way you can audition for when they finally get their first real Indian superhero. That could be you.
That's what I'm hoping for, man. I mean, you're already almost Peter Parker. You got the glasses, you got the good nature. Now all you need is a few muscles and, maybe a few lessons in ass kickery, and I could see you really doing some cool things.
You got the looks. Get it done.
Just go out in the streets and be a vigilante for real. Don't wait for the movies to catch up to you.
Yeah, man. Like, Tom Holland was showing off his gymnastic skills, and that really helped him get the role of Spider-Man. Exactly. So if I were you, I'd go out in the streets and start murdering some people, kicking some ass, taking out some bad guys. That could really work to your favor.
And record it.
Anyway, bud, love you, man. We'll talk to you soon.